Hello folks and welcome. Linux Mint 21.3 Cinnamon. I released a video yesterday in regards to what's new and tips on 21.3, and in that video I also discussed upgrading from 21.2 to 3. 21.3 has some new bells and whistles, and I had a subscriber ask me a question regarding this feature right here. This is brand new to 21.3. It's called Actions. And there's lots of, tools in here. And the question was, he is trying to verify his ISO or computer image, and he would like to know if there's any extra tools for that purpose in there. Yes, there is. There's 4. And I'll also talk about a 5th one you can install from Software Manager if you're doing SHA 512s. And I'll also talk about the terminal command if you don't want to install that application. But in either case, I'm going to be talking about computer images, and that's not everybody's cup of tea. But if you want to learn how to download a computer image from another Linux distribution and test drive it yourself, you may be interested in this video. So again, Linux Mint is a beginner system, but it can certainly do medium to advanced stuff. All right, with that said, I'm filming in 1920 by 1080. You can adjust your YouTube player accordingly if necessary. You are watching this on Linux for Seniors. You can subscribe if you like. The icon will be above the time date during the video. Got 300 plus videos, and I do encourage that. That way you can watch it on your time frame. Anything that's 5 minutes or more is sometimes good to do that. Now, we talk about some new toys in your file manager called Nemo 6.0. So with 21.3, it brings in some new bells and whistles in here. One of them is the feature that when you download an ISO or computer image from a certain Linux website, you can do verifications. I'm going to show you how you can add 4 more tools in here and then install a 5th one if you're doing SHA 512s. And I'll show the same command out of terminal if I remember it. So those tools are done through this new feature called Actions. This is brand new to LM 21.3. Wasn't available on Linux Mint 21.2. So if you just upgraded, I have also the instructions on how to do that on my last video, or you did a fresh install. So Actions has a lot to do with your system. Talks to your file manager, these submenus, and etc. Actions has a relationship with themes, desklets, applets, extensions, all kinds of things. So I'm going to open this up for you. To give you one example of add desklets, if I right-click on my screen, you'll see that box. If I turn this off, you won't see that box anymore if I right-click. It's gone. You can add other things in here too. So today I'm going to talk about these items right here. Calculate MD5 sum, calculate SHA 256 sum, verify MD5 sum, and verify SHA 256 sum. I got all 4 of these from downloads. So if you have never installed applets or desklets, they're pretty simple actually. You click that install arrow and then it becomes a check mark, and then you can go to manage and activate them. So I'm going to turn these tools on right now. And these will be directly linked into the file manager. Plus, plus, plus. Do you have to use them all? No, I'm just going to show you all of them. That's your choice. And now close and reopen the file manager. I think you can actually leave it open when you're doing this, but I just closed it just for this sake. So I now have 1, 2, 3, 4 new toys. The verify you should already have, whether you upgraded or did a fresh install of 21.3. So let me take out a couple seconds and explain this for the folks that are not too keen on what an ISO is. So an ISO is a computer image of a desktop. So if you're wanting to test drive someone else's Linux desktop, you can download these things, and then you can burn them onto USB sticks or DVDs. If you got one of those DVD burners. Most of my stuff is done with a USB stick. But you want to verify that the integrity of the file you just downloaded is good. There's nothing worse than wasting your time after you download it and you burn it onto a DVD and or a USB stick just to find out it is bad. All right, so we're going to talk about a little bit of verification process. On some distributions, they're different on the verification part of it. Linux Mint and Ubuntu, a little bit different. Manjaro is more of a manual method, and so is MX and other distributions. But there's a lot of commonality between these tools. These are used for manual verifications. This is more of an automated or semi-automated. So Linux Mint, I have that image here, has most all the goodies that you need to verify before you make a bootable USB stick. And you can certainly do it directly from your file manager. I'll show the complete process. So what I'm going to do is do a verify. So what you're looking at here is it's calculating the SHA 256, and that'd be a number. It also looks for files on these websites. HTTPS, the S part is secure, from an FTP site that Mint has plugged into that ISO. The GPG file I'm only going to talk about from Mint and Ubuntu, and you can deal with the rest of these things manually a little bit later, because I'm not really going to get into that because a lot of the verification methods that they use are different. But now I got a black verification button. I'm going to click that, and however long this takes. The Linux Mint servers, I'm surprised it was this quick, are usually very busy right now when they release a new product. But anyways, everything looks good. I am very confident that there's nothing wrong with this image, and more importantly, that it's been signed. Okay, now I'm going to close that and then move to the next step, which is make a bootable stick. Because I have a 30 gigabyte stick. I'm sorry I didn't have anything smaller. But I cleaned it up earlier, and I can literally do this in the file manager, and it blows in the ISO image, the name of the image, and then I just click on that and hit write. And I don't know, somewhere between 3 and 10 minutes. How's that? I did everything in the file manager. So lots of nice little tools from 6. So a lot of people will go, well, I'm not sure if I want to upgrade. Trust me, you probably want some of these tools. All right, let's do the Ubuntu thing. I downloaded that directly off their website. Again, I do not recommend that you go to third party and download these kind of computer images. You never know what you're downloading. If you go to the respective websites for like Ubuntu or Mint or MX or Manjaro, then you're probably assured that the file hasn't been compromised in most cases. All right, you can see that Ubuntu does provide the HTTP. In this case, there's no S, but we can verify that also from here. And everything looks good, so I have high confidence that there's nothing wrong, and I can make a bootable and write. Granted, these are too big anyways, but I told you I don't have anything smaller right now. That would probably be an 8 gigabyte, would be comfortably on there if you're going to use that kind of USB stick. These probably can, I don't know about that one. Yeah, I can try to squeeze that on a 4 gigabyte. These will definitely go on there. Okay, so that's how you do a quick image writer. And then you take the stick out, you take it over to a computer that you can boot up on in USB mode, and you can test drive the distribution. That's the sole purpose of this tool. Just to make, the ISOs is what I meant. Now let's talk about this one. We're going to do a verify, and you notice there's no links to any files here. That means we need to do this manually. So while that's generating on SHA, I am going to find a website to MX and find the download section and talk about what we're talking about here is the KDE version. So I would click and download that. After I download that, I probably want to verify something on it, how to verify the ISO. So I'm not going to talk about signature files today. So here is where I'm going to go with that. And we are doing KDE 64. These are downloadable, including the MD5, SHA, and signature, as an FYI. But we're not dealing with that one. We're dealing with KDE, so I want this one. So I'm going to highlight that so I can scroll up a couple of lines and kind of make it where I can see it. Okay, so if I were to kind of superimpose that box on top, filming in 1920 by 1080, again, this is probably too small for you, but that says 4F877, and that's what that number begins with, and ends up with an 87B4. So this is one way to take a peek at it real quick. Now I'm going to right click and do it in a different way using these tools. Calculate SHA, and you'll get a one-liner going across. I may need to move this box though when it pops up. Let's find it. And where are we at? All right, we're dealing with that number right here. So there's a one-liner right here. We can just drop it to here where you can stare at it for a second. Okay, so the number system is right here, and the rest of it is the file name and the location. So 87B4, that looks good. The other way of doing it, and I would probably recommend that you use this one, is to enter that number. And would you do that manually? Probably not. Again, highlight that, and you make sure you highlight nothing else. If you leave out a number, you redo it. Okay, so if I were to do this, I'll show you a failure. Okay, copy. And I will find that box and enter that number and give you what it looks like. Invalid. So we need to make sure that we have at least all of the string highlighted. Copy. Right click, verify, paste, and all we're doing here is verifying that image based on what you copied and pasted off of MX's website. And we have hashes that are the same. My confidence in this disk is pretty high. So let me check the other number, which is the MD5 sum, if you want to do this. And it's not a bad idea. And we'll do the other one also. Verify MD5. And the SHA are different. Pardon me, more coffee. It's a shorter number. Nonetheless, we need to have a match. So they are matching, so I have high confidence that I can probably burn this one too. But again, if I wanted to go through the complete procedure, we can deal with the signature file. I'm not going to do that in this video. There's a lot of different steps sometimes with these signature files that people have to follow, and whatever the website recommended, because a lot of different Linux distributors handle things differently. I'm going to close that and go to Manjaro this time. We are going to find their website and do the same thing, except they're going to have a different system. It's a 64-bit, and we are dealing with XFCE, so that would be this one. I'm going to do the download thing. Full or minimal, I'm going to do the full. I downloaded the image that was a full image, and the signature file and checksum. So I'm going to click that, and it opens this up in your web browser, Firefox. So the first thing that I noticed when I saw that was SH8512. All right, so I'm going to save as and leave the name alone. Just save it right into your file manager. All right, so let's take a look at this for a second. It's a very long string of numbers. Okay, the numbers start right here. And the rest of the stuff is just a file name. So let's go take a look at our tools. We're dealing with this image right now. So you downloaded this directly off of Manjaro after you downloaded the actual ISO. And let's talk about verification. So we start with this box, and you'll see that it says 256. That's a 512. That's not going to work. Close, right click. None of these tools have 512s on them. So you're kind of in a pickle. You could proceed to make a bootable, or you can install a tool, or you can run it out of terminal. So let's talk about one tool that I already have installed, and I'll show you where to get this later. So this one has a funny name. It's called CHECKSUMO or CHECKSUMO, however you want to pronounce it. It has no instructions, but I'll show you how to use it. So basically the top box, you're just going to be looking for the ISO name. So we're going to click that, downloads, ISO, and select. The next is we need a hash value. Well, you downloaded that already from Manjaro, so that's pretty legit information. You didn't download it from a third party. That's the file that's currently open. So I'm going to grab this whole string of numbers and not forgetting to skip things. I know you can't barely see this, but I'm making sure that I'm not skipping over any numbers because it's very, very long. And copy that. And then punch in that value. And if you got a green verify button, you're good to go. Well, you're not good to go yet. You haven't verified anything. So this is for SHA 512. All right, so this is the CHECKSUMO tool. It is not installed on your Linux Mint distribution. You'll have to install it. I'll show you where to get it in a minute. So right now it's processing. And after it processes, you're going to get a hash match or not. So if you get a bad one, I'm going to substitute a number. So they won't match to let you see a failure. But since I did it already once, I got pretty high confidence there's nothing wrong with that image. There's nothing worse than wasting, you know, your precious time downloading this stuff and then burning it onto a DVD especially and finding out it's bad, and then you got to throw the DVD away or you got to redo it. So do it before you start burning this stuff. Anyways, mismatch. Something's wrong with it. So the procedure from this would be, did you copy this number right? Check it, do it twice, and it's still failing after maybe 2 or 3 tries, then I would probably re-download the image. Something could have happened to it during download. That's the sole purpose you're doing this stuff. Okay? What's the other option of doing this if I don't want to install CHECKSUMO or CHECKSUM0? You can do this out of terminal. This is not everybody's cup of tea, but I'll show it to you anyways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an ls, which is a list of all my directories or folders, right? And I'm going to do a cd into downloads. So if you type in the first couple of letters, it's the only one that starts with down, and I'm going to hit the tab key and then hit enter, and it CDs right into downloads, and I'm going to do another ls. It's list contents. So that is a very long name. That file there is the file in question. We are trying to get an SHA 512 using terminal. So I will just, I'm not going to hand type this in because this is going to take too long. I'm just going to cycle through my commands and let you see that. So the front part of this command you should be able to do directly into terminal if you don't want to install this application, is put in SHA 512 sum space -b and the name of your file. And keep in mind, for you folks that don't like to type into terminal, that has dashes, it has dots or periods, and etc. You have to type these exactly the way they are. And now I'm going to hit enter. And it's actually working. And it'll give me a number when it gets done. And then you can open up your file once it processes. And you can see that it starts with CDA3, the front end of that. Let's open up our file. And I'll make it bigger. CDA3. And the tail end, just to keep things short, is DE10B. So let's take a look at our, there it is, DE10B. So I got high confidence that there's nothing wrong with that file. But I didn't have to use that program for that. I'm going to close this. Where do you get that application, by the way? Is right out of Software Manager. And hopefully it'll open up in a second. And I'll just type in CheckS. And you want CHECKSUM0 or CHECKSUMO, however you want to pronounce it. Install that. It's a very small install, but it is Flatpak. All right. So the buttons in here can also be turned off inside of File Manager by going through plugins. You can also turn these off. I'll turn off 2 in here, and then I'll enable them in another way. So right now I'll just show you that 2 of them are missing. I have verify, yes, but I don't have the 4 tools that I had earlier. They're turned off here also. You can see them. As soon as I activate them, I have to do the plus and the plus. You'll see them activated. All 4. And when I go to plugins, you'll see them also activated in here. All right, for my next video, I'm thinking about doing some videos on applets because there's some new toys. And on that note, folks, I'll say thank you for watching.